Buongiorno. My name is Jim Campanini, and I'm the co-host of the Gratefully Yours Wine Podcast, which with my co-host here, the Wine Novice and Wine. No, you're the Wine Butler. I'm the Wine Novice. Okay, the Wine Butler, Michael Pigeon. How you doing, Mike?
Very good, thank you. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, yes. And we're shooting today's show from the InsideLowell.com studios in downtown Lowell. We've got our producer, Teddy Panos. How you doing, Teddy?
Doing well, guys.
He's got a beautiful green shirt on for honoring St. Patrick's Day. Is this green? This is green, right? Blue, green.
Teal.
Teal.
Close
Well,
enough.
that's the closest I got. But I got my Mickey Ward hat on.
Oh,
right?
that makes you Irish as can be. There you go.
So that works. So today we're going to talk about some interesting wines, and because this is the season of Lent, which Catholics and Christians around the world, observe the 40-day Lenten period that leads up to Easter, and then you have Greek Easter after that. The past couple of years, I've been doing a column on Lenten wines. What are good wines to drink during Lent, especially white wines that come into play on Fridays during Lent when Catholics, under the the observances, the religious observance, are supposed to abstain from meat. Okay, so white wines are good because a lot of people eat fish or pasta and fish dishes and stuff, and so I've come into to really get down into weeds on these they call them archaeological wines from Italy. Why archaeological? Because they come from around the volcano area in Campania, Mount Vesuvius, and we've got one that is just it's got a great story, a great history, a great culture to go with it, and we're going to talk about it and taste it. The wine is called Lacryma Christi del Vesuvio. That's right. So here it is right here, Lacryma Christi del Vesuvio. Lacryma Christi means the tears of Christ. Oh, what better wine bottle to put on your table, huh, Mike, for Easter or something, and the tears of Christ. So it's a white wine, but the story behind it, the grape is Coda di Volpe. Okay, and that's translated into white foxtail. It's a very rare grape that almost went extinct, and they call it that way because in the area of Vesuvius, where these vines grow, the cluster of grapes is shaped like a fox's tail. So they got named the grape. The cluster looked like a fox's tail, and they called it Coda di Volpe. And so that is the grape that is used. Now, it only grows in this area of the volcanic ash and pumice. That's where it does well. And it's recognized in the Italian wine law as being the historic zone for the Lacryma Christi wine. And there's also a red wine, which we'll taste and talk about later, about another rare ancient grape. So
a rare grape, that means it must be expensive to make a bottle of wine if it's rare.
Well, unless
it's not in demand. But.
No, it's a native grape, native to Italy in this area, and it's an interesting point you make because both the white grape Coda di Volpe and the red grape Pideroso, no one's ever really tried to grow them anyplace else. I mean, they thrive in this climate. Okay, which is Campania, the East Coast, it faces the Mediterranean Sea there, the Ionian Sea, and you get those sea breezes, but the soil is heavily laden with that volcanic ash, because the Mount of Vesuvio is still active, just like Etna in Sicily. So let's taste a little. Let's taste a little of the wine here first, and you want to hear your recommendations. So we'll talk now. These wines that we're talking about, they're very good with seafood, fish dishes. This, when you read up on the history of it, the Italians put in all kinds of pasta dishes with clams, mussels, cuttlefish. Have you ever had cuttlefish? That's a white fish, I think, that I found out. Squid, they put squid in the pasta and everything.
Little, almost bittersweet. It's nice. It's not a strong sweetness, but
you can see this is Sorrentino's. This is made from organic grapes, 100% organic grapes. It's got a golden hue to it, the color.
Very much so.
It's mildly fragrant. It's not an overly fragrant wine. But
when I saw how gold it was, it reminds me of a dessert wine, but it's not. It's a drinking wine for food. It's very gold.
It's got a little. It definitely picks up that mineral quality. You get a little saltiness in it, and once again, what happens a lot in Italy, the coastlines, both east and west. And I'm sorry, I said Campania. It's the west coast. Campania's on the west coast, goes all the way down to the boot of Italy. And what happens? They get that sea effect, that ocean effect, where the sea spray gets carried into the air. They put the deposits on the vineyards, and even though the wind currents dries it off, it stays there and it gets, mingles in with the soil on the vines, and you get that nice minerality that's picked up in these wines. So Lacryma Christi is a very distinctive wine. And it has a few legends. You say, how did it get the name, Tears of Christ? So Karen McNeil, who is the author of the Wine Bible. It's an excellent book, covers all the wine growing countries and regions across the world. It's a thick book. It's in soft cover. Costs about $34 now in its third edition. But she tells you everything about the grapes, the region, the customs, the culture, the food. She breaks it down in an easy style, and she's a great writer. Everything is interesting and enticing. So she puts in there the story of Lacryma Christi, the legend behind it. No, and I wrote them down here. So, in the first legend, she writes, when Jesus Christ ascended to heaven, he marveled at the beauty of the Bay of Naples, and he cried. His tears landed on the ashen slopes of Vesuvius, and vines miraculously appeared. So that's where the grapevine comes. That's the first one. The second one, okay, when the angel Lucifer fell from heaven in disgrace, Christ cried tears of sadness that fell on Vesuvius and produced the wines miraculously. That's number two. Now, the third legend is a little more practical, okay? Local monks who did not have the benefit of modern winery equipment passed the wine through heavy canvas to filter the wines out. They didn't have any filtration equipment, causing it to drop into the vats, and the drops look like tears. Yeah. So they called it the Tears of Christ. What do you think is closer to the truth?
That one there.
Oh, I like number one, but yeah. I know. So
Lucifer was wrongly accused, poor guy.
Yeah. And and I've been drinking this wine, every year during Lent, and it's difficult to get because you have to go to an Italian wine store. Mike and I had the good fortune of being in the North End a couple of weeks ago when we went to wine tasting. A Boston bottle.
Yeah.
Commercial Street, and we saw a couple of bottles there, and we picked them up. This Sorrentino brand, I've had the Mastro Berardino brand, and there's a story behind that. But the Sorrentino is very good. This only costs $17 a bottle, and it's a very light.
It's a different
fresh
wine that's enjoyable.
Yeah. Wine, and I like that. It's got a kind of a fruit pear or exotic taste, but it's good. Nice acidity. It's not like a Sauvignon Blanc where sometimes you get overwhelmed by that acidity and stuff. This is much milder, easy drinking. Very easy drinking.
Yep.
We're drinking it here at 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's got to be easy drinking.
It is.
But the finish on it is
very, very nice,
very uplifting, and you're right. It's got that bittersweet.
Sweet. It's
nice.
Tells you two different things.
Nice contrast. Nice contrast.
Yeah.
So there is another famous brand of Lacryma Christi, and it's by the producer who saved the grape. It's the Mastro Berardino family. From near Avellino, which is just which is around one of the slopes in Vesuvius. There's a famous World War II battle fought there, so they wanted to try to look into long forgotten and grapes that almost been extinct. So they hired Italian archaeologists to go through some of the volcanic ash to find the DNA from seeds that might have been in the ash, because at one time there had been vineyard slopes in that area and stuff. And sure enough, they found the DNA and the seeds, and they were able to reconstruct some of those original grapes, and they replanted vineyards in and around the same area. This was in the 1990s. And so the Mastro Berardino family is responsible for rescuing the Vesuvio vineyards that are there to this day and thriving. And that includes the grapes Greco, Falangina, and even Aglianico, which in Campania is their most noble red grape. You got the Torrasi Aglianico, which is just it's described as the Barolo of the South. It's just a great wine. So there is a lot of history behind this grape. It's a great wine for Lent. You should try to pick up a bottle. Vino Italiano also sells it. I've got a column that would be I'll be sending it to Teddy. He'll be posting it on the InsideLowell.com website, hopefully by the end of the day, and you can read it and read about some other Lenten wines that are good for this period, with fish dishes and light pasta dishes, meatless dishes and stuff. So you can enjoy it. But I tell you, you put this bottle on your table, but it's not only a good tasting wine, but you learn a little about the history. You can talk about it, and it's an enticing story, you know.
Like I said, past shows, some of these wines, you've never heard of the grape, you try them, and they are interesting, and some are good, some aren't so good. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that grape.
And so take a look at my column. I go a little into more detail. I also describe the Mastro Berardino version, which is a little more austere and than this one. But they're both fresh. They're both fresh wines, exciting wines. The Mastro Berardino costs about $22 a bottle, and And they're both DOC wines, the Vesuvio DOC. So just think about it. It's a place, a rare place, unique place in Italy and the world where these wines just thrive in that location around that volcano, and it's just amazing how agriculture works and what they can do. So now moving along, you gonna drink that or?
Yep.
Because we want to talk about the red version also. Here's the red version. You can see it. You can see the picture of the vineyards and Vesuvio in the background here.
That's nice.
And
that's a nice wine.
And this is from the Pideroso grape, which means red foot. The pigeon's red foot. Mike Pigeon.
There you go.
Yeah. There's a local pigeon in the area, and actually some people say it's from the stem of the grape cluster, which turns red during the harvest, and then others say it's from the pigeon, the bird in the area that has red feet. As long as it doesn't have clay feet, I think that's good.
Like, no clay pigeons.
So Pideroso is another ancient rare grape. You never hear of Pideroso, but it grows in Campania, and it's been used as a blending partner for many years for Aglianico. And they use it in small amounts to soften the texture and to give aromatics. So,
didn't you say that meant the tears of Christ?
yes.
Well, how can they both be the tears of Christ when one's red? Red wouldn't be the tears.
Well, that's the name of the wine. It's from the it's the Tears of Christ. They have a red version and a white version, but they're both from the same area, the slopes, and they have vines that produce the red and the white grape. But Pideroso is another ancient rare grape that was saved in that Mestral Berardino project, which you can read in Karen McNeil's book. She's got a little passage about it. It's absolutely fascinating why a family would be so close to the region and local and respect the Torah to find these grapes and revive them. But what do you think of the? It does have a little more fragrance than the white. And look at that color. It's got almost a real dark ruby red, but it's not a thick color. But I guess you can see, you can just about see your fingers through the bottom of the glass. But it reminds me of a Pinot Noir in color,
You brought two good wines today. Not too dry. Not at all.
Wow. Once again, that nice minerality at the end, but it's got a lot of cherry.
Yep, a lot of cherry.
Rustic, like a rustic herb. And, once again, the terroir where this comes from, if you've seen the Bay of Naples, I have a photo on it on my column that will run, and I put in the story, if you saw the Bay of Naples in the Amalfi Coast, the beauty, you'll cry tears too about it. It's so beautiful and stuff. But this has got a nice, elegant taste.
Reminds me a little of the Sangiovese we had a couple of weeks ago.
Sangiovese is a little bolder though. This is a milder version.
Very nice.
It's got a flinty finish or something. There's it's herbs, like an herby, flinty finish. So the point is, they're very distinctive wines where the tastes are truly, unique, and they give off that feel of the land, Campania. And they're just great representations, I think, of the area. And the two great, I think, wines for Lent. And do you have any favorite? I know you're not religious and stuff, and you don't have to be, but Italian white wines besides Pinot Grigio?
No, I'll take. As long as they
whatever I'm pouring, you'll
whatever
take.
You're pouring, yep.
So how would you rate each one of these wines? How would you?
You mean on 100 scale?
Yeah.
Well, to me, they're certainly above 87 or 88. They're above that. But not 99, 90, 91. Yeah, I think I'm.
Venus Media, which has some of the best Italian wine critics in the world, have both given these wines 89 points, which are pretty good. They're both $17, and they taste very well. So go to my take a look at my column, read more about these wines, and I make some other suggestions on white wines for Lent, including Vermentino and Soave. Oh, Soave is one of the is a great wine with fish and shellfish, seafood, and pasta dishes. So take a look at that. Now, we got some house cleaning to do before we sign off here. We had Craig Candorf on several weeks ago, the show. He's from Lowell. He's the national sales director for Cynthia Hurley French Wines in Needham. And he is in that show, we unveiled his new canned wines. Well, he just got a 90-point rating from Wine Enthusiast magazine for his canned Pinot Noir. It's called the Hands Off Wines, HOW, Hands Off Wines. Pretty good, huh? From a guy from Lowell.
I would have named it hands-on wine, but rather than hands up. But that's excellent. That's and it's a can. I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah. So I mean, and it was reportedly one of the highest scores ever received by a canned wine reviewed by Wine Enthusiasts. So good luck to Craig.
Yeah.
If you see those wines, you should pick them up. The Pinot Noir is from Germany, and it's a great thing for the upcoming summer parties, patio parties, and we can thank Craig for that. The other thing, I know this is late notice, but tomorrow at the Wine Connection in North Andover, BZ Bobby Zahn would be signing off after 40 years in the wine industry. He'll be pouring his favorite wines from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Wine Connection. Now, Bob Zahn, I met him about 8 years ago. He's been one of the top wine salesmen in New England for years, for several major companies. But the thing I always liked about Bobby, he'd never push a wine that he himself didn't like.
That's true. A very friendly guy, too.
Yes,
But
yes.
Even without him, the Wine Connection, it's a good take when he has those wine points. But what Bobby did, that'd be nice to give him a nice...
send-off, yeah. So if you get a chance, come by the Wine Connection. Bobby Zahn will be there. He's always funny, always knowledgeable, and it should be a good time. It's a free wine tasting from 1 to 4. And the other thing is, I just received my wine allocation, my 2020 wine allocation from Drew Bledsoe's family winery. We're going to be trying to get Drew on for a later date in April. We'll have to do it remotely. He can't come into the studio. He's out in Washington State, and hopefully we can work that out. So stay tuned. We'll talk about Drew's wines, and
maybe if you could get Mike Kunzler to offer him a round of golf out there at his beautiful course at Four Oaks, he'd have Drew come in and play some golf and go on Teddy's show.
Mike Kunzler's a good friend of Drew Bledsoe's. Drew has been up to Grazie and several times to talk about his wines. Always a good night. So that might be. We're trying to get Mike in also in April. I talked with him. He's now vacationing, but he said he's willing to come on. So that would be good. So any closing thoughts to our audience out there?
No, happy St. Patrick's Day, and how do you wish somebody a happy Lent when you're giving something up?
Very good. I guess you say, may the Lord be with you.
May the Lord be with you.
But have a good day, everybody, and thanks for watching.
Good day.
Ciao.